Hello everybody. Today we'll be going through Phoenix Journal number 27 and we're going to start with law number 13 of the 18 laws of God or commandments. And this one is, as ye sow, so shall ye reap. Also called the law of cause and effect. Now this law that most choose to ignore or misunderstand when they do not want to take personal responsibility for their manifested experience, perceived good and or especially bad. God created cause and effect so that each soul fragment will recognize that when he did a specific act, say, stole a car from his brother, there would be an effect to his transgression, such as perhaps going to jail. But the nature of the effect is produced in a way unique to each individual fragment, which will bring the greatest opportunity for the understanding of the lesson for that soul fragment. Unfortunately, for many, the repeat and repeat of similar or same errors has continued over the course of some thousands of years. Yes, it is by choice that the soul would refuse to take personal responsibility for its thoughts, words, and deeds. The catch is, all are responsible for all which occurs within their manifested illusion. Whether or not one wisely chooses to finally recognize and accept this truth is entirely up to each. They will still suffer the consequences of their actions, which are contrary to God's laws, and or they will also reap the divine benefits of understanding and obeying God's laws. Now, in your Eastern religions, such as Hinduism and Buddhism, they have a term called karma, defined in Funk and Wagner's dictionary as, number 1, the spiritual force generated by one's action which determines one's reincarnated situation. Number 2, loosely, fate. 3, vibration. Karma, even by this definition, does not accurately describe the same purpose or meaning of simply cause and effect. The term karma, loosely believed by many, implies you must do this or that has occurred because it is your karma, implying that it is also your fate. One can fall into the root of blaming all experiences on their karma, and therefore not adequately learning the lesson to release the perceived karma. The definition of karma implies that yes, there are consequences to your actions, but you are doomed to pay back, lifetime after lifetime, and does not take into consideration the release of payback. When the lesson is truly learned by the soul fragment, remember this: at any instant when the true understandings of recognition has occurred regarding the error and effects of one's actions, that one can, through self-forgiveness, release any repetition of a transgression against another, self, and God. For example, let's say that the one known as Hitler, who was responsible for the deaths of millions, truly recognized and understood his transgressions against God in the moments before he made his death transition. All things are possible, friends. And in those moments before his death from this live stream, he prayed to the God within him for forgiveness of self and all others, that he then put his will into God's will, to be of service only unto the Father. Now, for ones who believe in karma, they would say that the soul energy that was Hitler will be doomed to the same persecution he committed on others, as well as at least 1 million deaths at the hands of a tyrant such as he was. And if Hitler refused to see his folly, then undoubtedly his self-judgment before God would be severe. But depending on the level of his understanding or learning of the lessons, his payback could be that he becomes one who devotes his entire next reincarnation life streams to the service of God by helping his fellow brethren overcome their spiritual starvation. Do you think then that it is not possible that God would not welcome his servant back within his fold of truth, love, and light? One must never forget that even the victim of Hitler's hatred chose their victimhood. Even ones choose not to become victims to anyone or any situation or any situations by always honoring God within self and all others, and thus living in balance with the laws of God and their creation. They would no longer create victimizers such as Hitler, It is really so simple. If they learn their lessons of how and why they created their victimhood, they would also forgive themselves and all who they perceived victimized them, so that they too could release and be free of the bondage of karma. And on top of forgiveness, the release may be involved actually being ever thankful to the Father within for bringing the lesson to them, and thus helping them recognize their self-transgressions, and becoming now free from the bondage of victimhood. Do you see the big picture now? The responsibility for all manifested experiences lies with all who share in and exist within the experience. And that's all for Commandment 13.